Hello everyone, welcome here. Finally, we are addressing the topic that everyone wanted to speak about. You always asked me about this. A lot of people in the community are hating the school merchant at the point of even attacking personal players. This is not the topic I want to speak about though. I think that I did it enough in other places, but here I want to speak of how it's possible to improve the school merchant experience and actually showing what are the problems of the base kit or of the power of the killer without the chasing add-ons. Like if you are a follower of mine, probably know that I prefer and mainly play the school merchant only with chasing add-ons. I always explain why. Like, I think that the character is a lot more interesting and more fun to play if you run these add-ons than if you run stuff like brown noise generator that basically gives oblivious to the survivors, or other stuff that mainly have effect on in a situation where you basically only trap the gens and you don't do anything else. Many of our add-ons are basically designed around that, for example, because like if you have an add-on like this, not triggering skill check warning, it means that you want to place the drone in a generator area. If you have an add-on like, what is it? Smaller skill checks, you kind of want to place it in a generator area. So some of the add-ons of the school merchant are basically designed around placing the drones mainly in generators areas. And then you have these two add-on, Geographical Readout and Randomized Drops, that instead promotes using the drones actively also in other areas. Or Prototype Rotor, but in my opinion this add-on is not really good, and for this reason is not played a lot by the players of the community. So let's see why I choose these add-ons. Basically, Geographical Readout, while in a drone active zone, gain a 2% ace status effect and a 15% action speed bonus to breaking pallets and breakable walls, damaging generators and bolting. These effects linger for 15 seconds after leaving the area. This means that you basically are buffed of a bit for a big number of stuff. Having a faster vault, a faster breaking pallet animation basically means that you want to use the drones in chase, because otherwise you don't have any reason to run this kind of add-on, you know? This other one instead, Randomized Drops, survivors that enter a drone active zone suffer from a 5% indirect status effect for 3 seconds. I'll keep saying that this is one of the best designed add-ons in the game, because the 3 seconds of a 5% indirect are not like overkill, don't allow to win a chase by itself, but like if you use this smartly, like you get a really interesting help in your chases. Also, it also promotes to place the drones in creative areas. An example can be the main building of Garden of Joy. You leave a drone there, even if the gen is done. Perfect. Every time they try to run the main building, a really strong main building, one of the most problematic issues of that map. And thanks to randomized drops, you can play that. Like you can counter that kind of strong loop, and you have a chance of chasing a survivor who wants to take distance and to take you busy with the main building. So basically, these two add-ons are really good to promote a more chase-oriented playstyle, or to counter the chases potential of the survivors. And that's why I always play with this, basically. And but let's see why instead I never want to play without this. Because we have to speak also of the base kit of the school merchant. Let's speak of what they did with the patch 6.6.2. Basically, this was released a few weeks after Tools of Torment, because the 3-gem potential, especially when Colobrine and Overcharge were still a thing, of the School Merchant was really oppressive, because basically you could spam the drones all the time on the generator. So they tried to help the Merchant in Chase, because she was considered too weak in Chase as a pure M1 killer, while at the same time trying to nerf a bit the 3-gen playstyle of the School Merchant. I'm gonna show you also with a game that I'm gonna put at the end of this video. Because the core of the video is me explaining what I would like to see. And at the same time I want to show you a real game where I played without the chasing add-ons, because some people are like, okay, you can play this killer only with the super boosted add-ons. No, I know what I have to do without the strong add-ons. The problem is that the playstyle, the gameplay, is a lot less interesting, and for both sides, for both the killer and the survivor. Let's give a look to what they did, basically. They chose to give little boost of haste, little boost that have become really impressive once that you start tracking survivors, for every tracked survivor. So a survivor is tracked when they get a claw trap, or when they are inside the area of an active drone. So for one single tracked survivor you have 3%, for 2 survivors 5%, 3 survivors 6%, 4 survivors 7%. Now, one of the main attacks to the base kit of the School Merchant is that basically the power of the School Merchant is considered like a free bloodlust. And basically what it promotes is holding W and not playing the tiles by just holding W. I kind of agree with that, because honestly, like when you start stacking a lot of haste, like that's the kind of gameplay you want to go for. Especially because, you know, you are M1 killer, you want to have the shortest chase as possible if you want to have pressure on the team. Also because let's remind that the School Merchant is mainly a 4v1 killer. Like I don't think it's a problem of design, because I think that in a 4v1 game you need killers who are designed around the 4v1. And instead I think that sometimes there is too much focus on the 1v1. But basically, like, yeah, this is the whole thing. Then they changed some other stuff, because before you could recharge the batteries of the claw trap every time they were tracked in active zone areas. But why did they do this? Because now the School Merchant can have a maxed combination of claw traps and drones set to 4. So basically you cannot have more than well, of course, not more than 4 claw traps, but you cannot have 4 claw traps and drones at the same time. Or you have 4 claw traps, or you have 4 drones, or you have 2 drones and 2 claw traps set at the same time. You know, this is basically the goal of the developers, because they wanted to actually address the gen protection of the School Merchant. Because if they allowed to still get the drones while the survivor are claw trapped, basically taking a claw trap is kind of useless for a survivor, because the drone will be set almost immediately anyway. With these changes, like they kind of address that kind of situation. And the most experienced and coordinated teams are able to counter the free gen of School Merchant, especially in a 4v1 scenario. Then they added a dissolution effect to the claw trapped survivors. And this was kinda a first good step. But I don't think it was the right step. Why? Because first of all, to get the haste effect, you have to track survivors. How do you track survivors, basically? By trapping the gens. So basically, you are not asking to the School Merchant to do something different from trapping the gens. And we go back to the original issue. Like, you cannot start a game as a School Merchant without trapping all the gens. if you are playing without chasing add-ons, because basically if you don't have people who are tracked, you are playing without a power. The only power you have is if you set a drone in a tile. That it's something that you can still do, like it's still useful because you have the tracking and like the survivor will still run the loop, especially if injured, because if they are not injured, most likely they're gonna leave the drone area to take KM1 instead of getting the exposed status. And especially if they are injured, they can choose to stay in the drone area. And in this way you have at least, even if you have no other tracked survivors, you have at least this 3% of boost. But it's not enough. It's not enough. Like, it's not a value that is good enough. So basically the main problem, as you can see also from the game that I'm gonna show later, is that by giving a chasing power to the Skull Merchant only for tracked survivors, you still have to play around your gens, or even more than without the add-ons, because like if you play like with the chasing add-ons that I showed you earlier, like let's go back to see this, you can see how with the geographical readout, like you can immediately engage a chase, because like in this case, you have 2% of haste by yourself, plus the 3% of the tracked survivor. In this way, like, you already have the same value of tracked survivor while you are chasing someone else, okay? Because you have a total of 5%. So the value of 2 tracked survivors is just for the only survivor you chose to chase. In this way, like, you are able to chase a survivor without thinking about the setting up too much, and you can focus on closing the chase with that survivor instead of setting the game before going for the chases on the survivor. And this is a really important point. The main problem in all of this is that you don't have a chasing power unless you trap everything, okay? You're gonna see how I'm going to play the game without the chasing add-ons. And like, that's kind of obvious for anyone who doesn't think about it. You cannot play Chase Skull Merchant if you don't have add-ons that give you an help in chase with the drones themselves. Also, you have no reason to trap an area that is different from a generator area with the base kit. Why should I, like the example of before, why should I trap the main building of Garden of Joy without the chasing add-ons? Yeah, like, why should I do it? Like, what do I get? A 2% haste, a 3% haste if they choose to run that. It's not good enough to actually completely negate a strong loop like that. Or otherwise, like, Bloodlust wouldn't be in the game, you know? Actually, they left Bloodlust because they know that there are still strong buildings and strong possible RNG. Like, if just a 3% was enough, like, I think that a lot of the loops in the game wouldn't be as strong as they are, actually. No, it's not good enough, and also the survivors would have no reasons of removing a drone from an area that is not a generator area. Maybe you can try some tricky lock-on plays, but like, once the survivor know that there is a drone there, like, unless they have a lot of lock-on progresses, like they just wait at the edge of the drone to take KM1 and then keep running inside the drone. It doesn't work. Like, the base kit only gives you value if you trap generators. And this is actually one of the main problems of the base kit of the Skull Merchant. I had some ideas to address the whole problem behind the base kit design of the Skull Merchant. Let's give a look to this. First of all, lock-on building up a bit slower, requiring more time. Now, if I'm not wrong, it's 10 seconds. We can even look at the wiki, if I'm not wrong. Where is it? We have the times here, if I'm not wrong. Okay, here we go. Power cooldown duration. Okay. Lock-on charge rate, 1 charges, lock-on charge time, exactly, it's 10 seconds. Okay. So, my first idea is making the lock-on lasting longer. Why? My idea is that lock-on shouldn't be something that you can use actively in a too consistent way in chase, unless they are already injured. Like, I think that the main value of the lock-on in chase should be the tracking, the killer instinct. Or at least this is how I use mainly the lock-on. The exposed status is really strong, and for a school merchant who sits on a 3-gen, it can be a problem. The exposed status, I think it's a good idea. I know that there are people who don't totally agree with it, but I think that the exposed status is the most balanced negative effect that you can give for sitting on a gen. Because if you really want to commit, you take this exposed, and if you are fully healed, like, you can still run a killer. Like, you can still be in the chase with the school merchant for basically I'm one killer for 60 seconds, or how long it is. Like, if it's more than 60 seconds, look that you are doing an amazing job at looping a killer, because already a 45 seconds chase, especially with I'm one killer with no mobility, is a really good time. But like, basically, more than 60 seconds is kinda fine for you. So even if she refreshes your exposed, like, you should be able to keep looping her. And yeah, like, the lock-on should build up a bit slower. Like, I don't want the exposed basically being a free pressure on a 3-gen situation. Then we should have a total new chapter dedicated to how to not have 3-gen spawning too close to each other, because that's a problem with whoever is the killer, not just the school merchant. But with the school merchant, basically, you get unexposed for basically sitting there. And that's like really oppressive for a survivor. The lingering should last less seconds, because in this way, like, if you take some lock-on while you are in a chase situation, you can chain the tiles without gifting a free exposed. Like, I repeat, the exposed, in my opinion, is a really good way to push survivors at taking a choice. Do I sit on the gen and take the lock-on? Or do I instead take the claw trap? But like, having this negative effect, that is a negative effect that still allows you to chase and to work on your goals, because at the end of the day we are speaking of this, and that is actually still a threat for you. Like, I don't see any other possible situations that can help you more. There are people who say give an active hindered while you are in lock-on. I don't think that's a good idea, because like, it will be really boring to go slow and fully hindered for 60 seconds, especially if this can be refreshed. No. I think that exposed is the best way, but the exposed should take longer and shouldn't be something that you can basically use as a threat in chase. Like, the survivor should be able to loop you normally without feeling auto-zoned only because the drone is in the loop area. Like, you cannot loop that area for too long. You should feel free to chain that area with another area without risking to get then the exposed again for a drone that is placed in the new area. And in this way, I think that the chase is more dynamic, and like, you cannot rely on the lock-on for the exposed in a too consistent way in chase. But a survivor who's already injured can just choose to sit on the loop, because like at that point I'm already injured, I have no reasons to go away, and you can still take value of what I said, the killer instinct in chase, because in that way, like, you can track the survivor mid-chase, and that's, I think, actually a good effort, and something that I use actually in chase in an active way. Like, that's why I still lock on survivors who are already injured. Then, other stuff to address the oppressive Phrygian situation. Unhackable status base totally removed. Right now, you have, if we look at the base kit, where is it? Scouting mode, no. Detection. I don't remember now. Okay, here. It will return to the school merchant, no. I cannot find it, but the time, I'm pretty sure about it. Here we go. Unhackable duration entering active mode automatically. 10 seconds. Active mode to scouting mode, maximum transition time when hackable, 20 seconds. Active mode to scouting mode, minimum transition time when hackable, 2 seconds. Okay, this is really important, because at the moment we have these 10 seconds of unhackable status. Now, this is still something that makes like, it's not really spoken about by people, but it's one of the problems of why the 3-gen of the school merchant is problematic. You have to wait 10 seconds once that she places the drone, doing nothing. And you can remember how people felt with Eruption before it was nerfed. Like, 10 seconds of doing nothing because only she just placed a drone in your face is not okay. My suggestion is or reducing this time to something less obnoxious, 2-5 seconds, or completely removing this. This would also add a chasing interaction, because if someone doesn't want to take the exposed mid-chase, like, you can play with a teammate who's helping you, and removing the drone mid-chase to take the aggro for your teammate. In this way, the school merchant is basically pushed or at keep chasing the same person while there is this drone, or at going for the new person. And like, you create more dynamic teammate interaction. You don't have to wait too much after that she places a drone. Like, it's more dynamic in this way. Unhackable status when a claw trapped survivor enters in a drone area lasting as it already does. When they announced the changes with the claw traps, etc, etc, like, they made that a survivor who's claw trapped cannot hack a drone anymore. And they made the survivor with a claw trap cause drones to be unhackable while they are nearby. I will keep this effect, to be honest. Like, I don't think that it will be too negative. And it would actually push people are not doubling, and it would actually push away from a gen a survivor who already has a claw trap. Like, if you have a claw trap, you don't want to go inside the drone area, and like, I think that creating a sort of penalty for a claw trapped survivor who still wants to commit a gen is kind of okay. Also because it's limited to the single person with a claw trap. Considering that the school merchant has a max of 4 between claw traps and drones, I think that this is an effect that can stay. So, only the unhackable status as a base, like when you drop a drone, like, the drone can be immediately hacked. This is what I would do. But like, a claw trapped survivor should be the only way of making a drone unhackable. Because in this way, like the Cloud Trap Survivor actually makes harder to double a gen, and like they have to play in a more coordinated way to manage this. Nothing impossible, a little penalty. I think it's fine. Now, this is a big point of my suggested changes. Cloud traps lasting longer. My suggested time is 60 seconds, also because more than 60 seconds is a lot. I think that this will make miracles, actually, especially in solo queue. Because one of the main counterplay to the school merchant is taking all the drones at the same time. Yes, you give her a lot of speed boost with how she works right now, like 6%, but she would also have only one drone that at that point, or you use it in chase with one person that you choose to commit, or you place it in a single gen, and you know the other people can work on another gen. Or like, you know, like that's basically the main thing that you can do. And with 45 seconds, like the timer, especially if they destroy a Cloud Trap with a pallet, doesn't feel like a lot. If you're not coordinated, like taking every drone at a single time, like that time doesn't feel like a lot. 60 seconds, I think, is a good time to allow a bit less coordination, so leaving room for the solo queue team survivors to actually still go for that kind of choice, but not being super perfect at the coordination. And at the same time, like, the school merchant is not fully penalized, because she still has some bonus that I chose to change, because I think that giving so much haste is not good, especially if my goal is giving geographical readout and randomized strobes base kit. So, making the Cloud Traps lasting longer means that she has to wait more before the drone comes back to her. Because, like, she can have her drone back only once that the Cloud Trap is destroyed. So, you have to wait 60 seconds. You have to be really careful about what you are going to do. Because, like, if you place all 4 drones and all 4 drones are taken, like, you are without Cloud Traps for 60 seconds. So you have to be even better at managing your resources. And I think that it's one of the best ways to deal with the free gen situation, because if for a so long time you cannot spam your drone on a 3-gen, like the survivors actually have the time of working on the gens, and like you have to be good at pressuring, closing a chase, and then pressuring again your gens area, okay? So, till now we spoke mainly of nerfs. Like, this can look like a buff, but these are basically nerfs, because all of these makes the exposed a lot less like a threat, and it allows to loop with a more breathing possibility for the survivor. Like, you have more time to think about what you can do, how to link it to another tile. If the drone is not positioned in a certain way, the lingering lasts less seconds, so you can basically come back to loop the area. Like, I repeat, my goal is making the exposed only a punishment for overcommitting a drone area. It doesn't have to be something that is too gifted to the killer. Like, only in that case, I think that the school merchant should get value from the lock-on. But at the same time, I don't want the lock-on becoming impossible to get, because I would like to be able to still use it in active chase with someone who's already injured. Now, let's see the other changes. These are buff. Geographical Readout and Randomized Strobes base kit. If you think about it in this way, like, you are more oriented at using your drones in chase. As I said, like, if your main chasing power comes from trapping all the survivors, like, why should you commit a chase before you set up your game? It does literally no sense, and it's not wrong for the school merchant player to basically do that. With Geographical Redoubt and randomized strobes, like if you see a survivor and you realize you can commit a chase, of course, if they are already running to a really strong main building, an experienced killer will not commit the chase, but that's common sense. It's not a problem of the killer. But like if you realize that you can remove the first pallet, go for the first hit, you can commit the chase because like you feel like you can outplay the next tile with your power, like with this you can do it. If you don't have these, you cannot do it. You have to wait for people taking claw traps and then you get the free bloodlust taste. By doing this, I chose to think about something new for the Tracked Survivors bonus. Because like giving so much haste and then even if the randomized strobes in there is kind of balanced as base kit, I think that getting so much haste from Tracked Survivors, especially with the claw traps lasting longer, could be kinda boring. For the killer, because like you basically just keep running and bloodlusting, but also for the survivors. So, what did I change? The first stack is the same, 3% haste. Why did I leave this 3% haste? Because basically, in this way, with all the changes that I'm suggesting, the max haste you can get is 5%. 2% from the Geographical Redoubt, and 3% from the Tracked Survivor. That 5% I think it's enough. I would even, maybe, and I think that this is big, removing Bloodlust every time you enter in a drone area. So in this way, it's not too oppressive. Like if you are using this haste, you are not going to get benefits from the Bloodlust. Because I think that it's enough, to be honest. So one Tracked Survivor giving 3% haste means that you can commit a chase, like I'm doing right now, like all the good school merchant chasing school merchants are doing right now. This is more than enough, and this is where I will put the line. Don't go over that 5% that anyway you have to build. 2 Tracked Survivors. This is a situation that is kinda common, or that can happen really often in a game, because usually you have one claw trap and then the chased survivor. You get extra vaulting speed, breaking action of 5%. Not a really big boost, but something that, if you consider Geographical Redoubt, is going to boost the effects of Geographical Redoubt. So I think that this 5% is not too big, but it's also good enough. Like, it's a motivation to actually have a drone in a chase and more Tracked Survivors. 3 Tracked Survivors. This is a really situation, like, it doesn't happen really often unless they are playing really aggressive. And really often, like, when you already are in a 3 Tracked man situation, like, the survivor you are chasing is already injured. Reduce the cooldown on successful attacks of 10%. I know, say the best for last can be a problem with this, but if you consider that, and I know that a main can be scared of this if there is a camping situation, but I thought about that. Like, free tracked survivor situation, basically it's not gonna happen if the killer is going to to camp, sorry. This means that you are not going to have this buff in a camping situation, because why, like, especially if the survivors know, why would you have 3 fracked survivors going for an Anuk? It does literally no sense. And at the same time, like, when, even if you say the best for last in chase, and like you put people down, like, they lose the tracking, basically. So I don't think it's gonna be overkill or too strong. Also, if something that I think about is going to happen, and I think that Save the Best for Last will get some changes to set the value to the original Save the Best for Last, I think that this will be even more fair. But I think that this, at 3 tracked survivors, is kind of the way. 4 tracked survivors at the same time is really rare. Like, you really rarely have 4 survivors with a claw trap, for example. That's why I chose for something, well, here I have to say thanks to Kizuati, because it was actually a suggestion of her, and I agree, like, it's a really strong effect, but it's so situational and it doesn't last forever that I think that giving a permanent detectable till 4 survivors are tracked not only fits with the original concepts of the School Merchant, but it's also a strong effect that works in a certain time where the survivors also know that they have to pay more attention to what's going on. So it's a strong effect, but there are enough information for the survivor to know that this is going to happen, and it's not overkill, and it also fits the School Merchant kit. Also, this is an extra. I will make the undetectable activating faster and lasting for a bit longer. So in this way, like, you are a bit more stealthy. Like, you can rely on the undetectable for pressure a bit more, not just in chase. Okay, so these are the base kit that I think would make the School Merchant more chase-oriented, less broken, and a lot less powerful in holding a 3-gen forever. Because, like, I think that if you do all of this stuff, the survivors have enough ways to work on a 3-gen. And if you do this at the same time, the School Merchant gets mainly the power in a chase-oriented way. Like, if you don't hit the survivors, you don't get this even cooldown on successful attacks. If you are not in chase with a survivor, this is not helpful. And also, you have to use this 5% extra speed in a smart way. And, like, you need 2 tracked survivors at the same time. 1 tracked survivor giving you this kind of haste is enough to be effective in chase with the first survivor you find without having set all of your or all of your drones on a gen before starting the game. So I think that even if not all of these makes it, I think that this is the main way to change the killer in a lot less defensive way and lot more aggressive way. Randomized robs promote more variety at placing the drones. Geographical readout promotes more using the drones in a chase. Your gen's protection is a lot less effective, or survivors can play a lot more around it. You get some boosts that are actually helpful only if you know how to chase and not just getting a free bloodlust. And, like, in this way, your max haste is 5%. Right now, if, for example, people already use these add-ons, like, you're gonna have 2 tracked survivors and I'm gonna go 7% haste. So basically, I'm even nerfing a bit the chase School Merchant. But I want a general situation where you can do something. Okay? If we do these changes, of course we have to rework some add-ons. Geographical Readout, in my opinion, can become an ultra-rare add-on. When inside the radius of a drone, you can see the progress of generators. I think this will be fair, because, in this way, you can, for example, set a drone, you are inside the drone area, and you can see what's going on. I know that a lot of people, though, can be worried of how this add-on basically would make the killer worried as usual for the gen protection, etc, etc, etc. Like, my idea was to do something like similar to All-Seeing of, I think it's All-Seeing. Well, the ultra rare of the Wraith, basically. So you see the gen progression while you are in in cloaked mode. So my idea was similar to that. I think that if with a nerfed gem protection, in my opinion, is not a too bad idea, because in this way you know what gens to pressure and stuff like that. If you are keep chasing and stuff, like you know where to go at the end of a chase. Alternative, shoving the position of pallets and vaults in 40-meter radius. Like, this is a lot less powerful than this, of course, but like you can, it fits the name Geographical Redoubt, and like you can have a sort of chasing plan, like where do I push you, shouldn't I push you, what's going on there, where are the pallets, etc, etc, etc. So this is not scary as this one, maybe, for the survivor point of view, but it's still good and interesting information for the killer. Randomized robes. It can stay very rare. The cooldown on successful attacks in an active drone area is 10% faster. There is a reason for this. First of all, again, you cannot use it in a camping situation. Because if it works only in an active drone area, like basically you're gonna... you cannot put a drone in front of a hook. Like you cannot camp a hook with a drone. So basically you don't get the value while you are camping. You can have that 10% faster cooldown on successful attacks while you are in a drone area, yes, but like... basically, it makes only faster for you to, I don't know, you see someone far, or like punishing more the body blocks in the case of a teammate who wants to go for a body block. So basically, I think that there is a sort of counterplay to this. It's still a really good and niche effect, but it's not too overwhelming. Also, I repeat, I feel like Save the Best for Last in the future will get changes, because the community is against it since a long time. Also, it's one of the most popular killer perks, and I repeat, it's mainly used for camping. I can see the numbers getting changed for Save the Best for Last. Unpublished manuscript. I would decrease the rarity of that add-on. At the moment, basically, what does the add-on do? Like, we can look at it. It's here. Manually activating a drone causes it to emit a terror radius of 32 meters for the next 15 seconds. This effect can only be applied to one drone at a time and increases the cooldown time of manually activating drones by 25%. This is a really niche and kind of an add-on to use, but I don't think it's justified as an eerie add-on. And like this one is too much. Like I will never run an add-on that will make slower to manually activate my drones. So I will make it a very rare. I will remove this negative effect. This is a meme add-on, basically. It can still be interesting to use, but like I will decrease it to very rare and removing this negative effect. I don't think it's actually necessary. Prototype rotor. As I said, like I want to set the max speed that you can get with the power of the Skull Merchant to the base kit and to max 5% more. So Prototype Rotor, in my opinion, is a bad add-on, because like I repeat, the conditions to activate it are really rare and are not really good, but at the same time the 5% is a lot. So at this point I will completely rework it. Considering that we started speaking of attack cooldowns, I just to lower it to uncommon and making a missed attack cooldown in a drone area is reduced of 20%. Not something super strong. It's kinda good for mind gaming, like you can swing and getting the value from a missed swing. But it works only if you are in a drone area, so it's really limited, and like I think that a survivor that once they notice it, they know what you are going to do. So I think that this effect is not too strong, it's kind of funny, and it can be justified as an uncommon add-on. Supercharge. Hitting a Clotraped survivor gives a plus 10% reduced cooldown on successful attacks. So I would increase the rarity of Supercharge. Why would I change the add-on? Because basically Supercharge right now, let's go here, increases the time of the claw traps. I think that if you increase it even more, like, it's gonna be overkill for both sides. Like, you get back your drone too late, and the survivors will give you the boost for a too long time eventually. So this effect basically can be changed. And my idea is hitting a Clotraped survivor gives a plus 10% reduced cooldown on successful attacks. It's strong, but it's still limited to the Clotraped survivors. So, especially if you notice that this effect is on, like, you can be more careful, and also the killer has to be able to hit you to get the value of this add-on. So I think it will be still a fun, kind of strong, niche effect that can be justified for a very rare add-on. So basically I would make Prototype Rotor going to uncommon and Supercharge getting raised to very rare. These are basically all my mainly suggested tips for improving the Skull Merchant. I think that with this kind of stuff, the gem protections is a lot weaker. Like, people who only played for gem protections will suffer a lot more, will not be able to make it as effective as before, because, like, if you can immediately hack a drone, like, they don't have to wait 10 seconds, the claw trap is going to last 60 seconds. If you use all the drones immediately, okay, you have some boost that you have to use or get value only if you are actively chasing survivors. Also, if you have everyone tracked, because of a claw trap, you lose the effects of a geographical readout and randomized strobes. So basically, a big part of your power is set on the single drone, and the more claw trapped survivors you have, yes, you get some boost, but these are boosts that are limited to something that you do in a chase. So, the more tracked survivors with a claw trap you have, the less possibilities of using a drone for gem protection and or chase are gone. Like, I want the drones being a lot more reliable in chase and still being decent at telling you what's going on in a generator pressure way. Okay? You basically know what they are doing. Okay, I think that I explained everything kind of well. I hope that this can start some change in discussions for the Skull Merchant in a helpful way. I think this is a lot more fun and engaging for both sides, because as a Skull Merchant you have to chase. You cannot just sit and wait for them getting bored and giving up. And as a survivor, like, at this point, you have all the tools at your disposal to have a chase that is not too obnoxious and coordinated, a possibly coordinated team play even in solo queue, because 60 seconds are a lot. Like, if you take the claw traps even with 10 seconds of delay from each other, like, you are gonna be able to pressure a possible free gen if they choose to just sit on a 3-gen. My goal is having still a really decent Skull Merchant. Like, I would like to see her in a middle tier, but still able to do well if they are really well at using all of these tools at their disposal. And like, I think that this will be really fun to play and more engaging for the survivor side. Now, I'm gonna show you a game that we played on stream, where I played with 2 add-ons. I used basically a brown add-on, this add-on that gives you basically undetectable kinda immediately, and this add-on that makes the undetectable lasting for longer. So basically I removed every chase add-on. And I'm gonna show you why the base kit of the Skull Merchant right now is not good enough to have a chasing power, and why it's kinda problematic for the current status of the game. So that's why I want to see the Merchant changed in a more chase engaging way. Thank you so much for watching till now. If you're curious to see the problems of the current base kit, I invite you at watching the rest of the video. See you soon! So you can see I'll struggle a lot more to play in a more fun way if you don't have the chasing add-ons. Because like you are a lot more dependent from having survival with the claw trap. Like for example now, I take the tag and I have to drop the chase because like I know that I cannot commit it, especially in a map like this. I need the people taking the claw traps. Or they take the claw traps, or we don't have the speed, and we can do nothing. This add-on is not bad at all, though. Like, it's not too bad, at least. I hate the outline so much. I'm sorry, but I don't like it. Like, this is a really passive playstyle that it's basically what's promoting all the people playing in a passive way. Like, as you can see, it's playable. Like, it's not like I think the killer is too weak. But how slower is your playstyle by doing this? You see what I mean? Because you cannot pressure legit anything unless you have every drones placed somewhere. And you know where you have to pressure and stuff like that. That's basically the main problem of this Kit School match. I learned from you. Yeah, that's kind of basic, but yeah,
Hi.
it's actually a really good
Welcome to the Jane Romero Show.
Bam bam! Thank you so much for the follow, come here, Avery. Oh, I took it wrong one. Okay, they were in law with the gen at main, the gen there. Now, we use these for the free hit, because she knows that she doesn't have to stay here. Like, we are still chasing, like, it's not like we are sitting on a region. We are not standing on a region and doing nothing. She was not the first hook. If I knew it, I would use the Scourge hook there. Like, you have to do this kind of work here. That is not super fun. I understand it. But like, this is what you have to do. I was sure about that. You have to consider that here we are playing super chill because we said a lot of routes.
You're breathtaking.
And we still chose to go for
You're all
chases.
breathtaking.
Because in some situations you have to tunnel and stuff. Blonde for fun, thank you so much for following. And for the follow, for the sub. I hope you're gonna enjoy the Jane and Skill Merchant team, that's lovely, thank you so much. Now it's time that we take someone out of the game there. We need Ada. Look at that, this number of stages in this map is not bad at all. That had to connect, to be honest. I'm gonna drop this chase, I cannot commit here. This building is too strong. And the general main is not protected. Hi Jacob, by the way. This team seems very efficient. I'm also struggling because like I'm playing without chasing potential. Like my chasing potential is totally overrun. Because if I have a chase power on my hands, like okay, finally one out. I can do some stuff. The problem is that, look at that, they are resetting there, I think. There are at least 2 people there. I was right, they were resetting there. So what I want to do for now is removing some stuff. I think that 2 of them are the Donuk and another one has more hooks. I know that you want to take me far from the gens. I go to your plan. What the fuck was Ada doing there? That was so confusing. Now, what I want to do, and this is the most important moment of the game, is... I need another one of them with the claw trap to be able to close a chase as fast as I can. They are doubling, most likely, so I'm not gonna be able to take the both of them. Well, these stages in a map like this is good shit. Never mind. Maybe we can even win this game. They wasted a lot of time. I wasn't even there, but okay. You see, like, what's the problem? And she gave up. That's fair. So this is basically why when people come and say, can you play School Merchant without the chasing add-ons? The games are like this. I can. I know what to do. But boring. Well, this explains a lot. It's a lot more passive, because you have no control on the power unless you set your power.